So, welcome everybody to today's free training, how to move from exhausted to energized without giving up on caffeine or sugar. Okay, it is such a pleasure to have you here today, and I am so excited for everything you're going to learn. We have had nearly 100 registrations for today, like just under, which is telling me something. There's a lot of exhaustion going on right now. Okay, so you're not alone. That's always good to know. Okay, there are people just joining as I'm talking. There are people joining, but let's just see who's here. If you've just joined, just whoever's here, please hop into the chat box and say hi. Let me know. I'd love to know why you're here today. You know, there's lots of different reasons why people are exhausted. Were you tired before COVID? You know, COVID isn't the only reason that the exhaustion has appeared, but maybe it has compounded that for you. Does the pace of life, which can be pretty relentless sometimes, leave you feeling anxious or overwhelmed? Do you know that you rely on sugar and caffeine, maybe alcohol, as energy boosters, and you want to change that? Let me know in the chat box why you're here, where you're from. Okay, so this chat box is looking tiny, which means I can't see anything, so I'll have to change that. I need to, so Sophie's here, I need to stop my Diet Coke habit, yes. Amanda says alcohol, hi. Tina's calling in from New York, it's so lovely to have you here, Tina. There's so many different reasons, okay? I'd love to know if you're coming in late, I'd love to know what is it you're specifically here for? What is causing that exhaustion? Now, we are going to be here for about an hour today, and look, I don't know you individually. I know some of you individually, not all of you individually. So what I am sharing is broad level advice. It obviously needs to be applied to you in your specific setup, and that is the most important thing. But I really hope that what you hear today resonates with you. And if it does, I will be sharing something with you at the end that will help, along with some thank you gifts, okay, for those of you who are here live today. So as we go through today's training, if you like what you hear, please stick around till the end. I know it's when you've got a busy day and a busy schedule, it can be hard, but I'm hoping it will be worth it for you. So you have chosen to be here, and I want to remind you that this is a gift. You know, I'm sure you don't often get an hour to yourself. So please, phones off, emails on silent, and just enjoy this time to learn. I have got everybody muted, but I can see the chat box. So please ask questions throughout. If I miss it, I will be leaving time for Q&A at the end, actually 2 spots for Q&A, okay? So please do ask away as we go through, and I'll do my best to answer them all. Grab a pen and paper, you're going to need it. We are going to cover a lot of stuff today, and it's going to be really useful. So please do grab a pen and paper now if you haven't already got one. Now, my goal for today is to make sure that you walk away with at least one thing that you can start doing tomorrow to help you feel more energized. Okay, yeah, I'm going to be showing loads of useful tips throughout, but I don't want you to do them all. I want you to choose one thing, and I want you to do it consistently, because making one small change and doing it every day, or you know, every other day, but being consistent with it, is going to have a much bigger impact on your health than doing 5 things, 7 things not very well, and then guess what? You give up, right? And you feel like a failure, which doesn't help anybody. So pick just one thing out of everything I cover today and choose to do that. I am going to come back at the end and I'm going to ask you what that one thing is. Now, you might be wondering, what makes me an expert? Okay, why am I here talking to you about this? Well, other than the fact that I have been helping women improve their health for the last 7, 8 years, about 10 years ago, I was completely burnt out. I was exhausted. That was an understatement. I worked for an international events business for about 12 years, and I was responsible for about a £5 million budget. I managed a large team. I was in a different country almost every month, traveling, and I loved it. I loved it. I'm a classic type A personality, so I have always strived to achieve, to do, to be available for my friends and family, you know, whatever they needed. So the pace of life for me then worked really well. And I ate pretty well, you know, I liked cooking, I've always liked cooking, but I ate out a lot. And takeaways were a great quick fix, you know, when I'd been working late and I didn't have the energy to get a meal onto a plate. So coffee, sugar, carbs, alcohol, you know, I would use those to get me through the days and nights. They were my crutches. And I got really good at blacking out. My digestion was funky. That's what I call it, funky. You know, a real mix between being bloated and uncomfortable and literally running to the toilet. My skin was awful. I would get these huge spots sitting just under the skin, you know, the ones that don't actually come up, and they would be there for weeks on end. And I just felt switched on, you know, wired all the time. Do you know that feeling? And I just knew that something had to change. For me, first came yoga. I fell in love with how it made me feel. Yeah, this is a fancy pants picture that I took on holiday one year, pre-kids. But I really loved it. I connected with it. And I decided in 2013 to do my teacher training, which is actually where I discovered that my food choices were really affecting my energy levels, my focus, my strength. And I started to play and get curious with how changing my diet could help me. Then when I decided, you know, made the decision I'm going to change my career and really focus on nutrition, I fell pregnant with my first son. Now, let's be honest, working in a hard-ass corporate environment can be tough, but it's nothing compared to keeping a child alive, is it? But I did retrain, and when I was pregnant, you know, slowly over time through my nutrition training and a lot of exploration, a lot of trial and error, I discovered how to keep my energy levels up, how to get rid of that non-stop mental chatter, and how to find space and time for myself. And that is why I'm here teaching you today, okay? Because I'm a small business owner. I'm a mum who works full-time. You know, I've got 2 young and very energetic boys. I'm a wife to a wonderful but male husband. You know what I mean? And as a person who has a tendency to do everything for everyone, I get how exhausting life can be. And it's why I'm so excited to teach you what it took me 10 years to learn, okay? Now, I want to break it down a little bit and see what you guys are really struggling with. Now, this is a new function I haven't used before, so please bear with me. I'm going to ask some questions. I'm hoping this is going to work. Please, if this poll has popped up on your screen, answer the question. Do you wake up in the morning feeling tired or fatigued, like you just want to go back to bed? Okay, let's have a look. Okay, we have 90%. 90% of you feel that way, 91%. Okay, wow, that's a lot. Okay. Next one, I've got 5 of these, okay? So, do you struggle to either get to sleep or stay asleep? Okay, so do you have any sleep problems? Okay, so we've got 1 person who sleeps well, that's great. The rest of you, okay, we've got another, okay, we've got a couple who sleep well. Okay, 83% of you struggle with your sleep. Okay, 83%. Third one. Now, I might know the answer to this one, but do you use caffeine, sugar, or carbs to get you through the day? Okay, do you use caffeine, sugar, or carbs to get you through the day? Now, most of you are probably going to say yes, because that was the title of this webinar and this training. Okay, so we've got 82%, 83%. Okay, high numbers again. Okay. Let's have a look. Number 4, like I said, we've got 5, so nearly finished. Do you feel more anxious and overwhelmed than you would like to? Do you feel more anxious and overwhelmed than you would like to? Okay, we've We've got 78%, 73%. This is a little bit lower, but still really high. 75% of you feel more anxious and overwhelmed than you would like to. Okay. And the last one. I'm glad these are working. Do you want to improve your health, but you don't know where to start? So that's the other question. Oh, we had 100% there for a minute. You know, so do you just not know where to start, or do you have a clear plan? Okay, so we have 82% of you are in that boat. Okay. Now, what does this tell us? It tells us you're in the right place. It tells us that you are not alone, and that is really important to know that, because I speak to a lot of women who feel like I'm the only one that feels this way. You are not. And for someone with an overactive stress response, this is really normal. Now, we're here talking about exhaustion. So what am I talking about? The symptoms you're experiencing, and you know, we've only touched on some of them. They're the same symptoms I had when I was on the brink of burnout. But what many people don't realize is you don't have to have experienced a major trauma in your life to be chronically stressed. Okay, so we're going to have a little quick lesson. Your stress response is what you may know of as fight or flight. Okay, it's a nervous system response to a perceived threat or danger. Okay, nervous system response. It means it's automatic. You have no control over it. And many moons ago, it was really helpful when you were being chased by a bear or having to hunt for food for days or months on end. Really helpful. And your very clever stress response, you know, would pump adrenaline and cortisol into your body. Those are the two main stress hormones that you probably have heard of that set off a cascade of activity in the body. Okay? Such as increased heart rate, which pumps your blood to the places you need the most. So if you're fighting or fleeing, you need your muscles to be pumped up, those arms and legs to be working. It diverts blood away from your non-essential organs. When you are fighting or fleeing, you don't need your digestive system to be working properly. You don't need a well-digested meal. You don't need to be able to make a baby. That reproductive system is not getting your body's attention, okay? It keeps you on high alert so that you are ready to fight or flee when needed. Really useful if you are in danger. And it prevents you from falling into a deep sleep so that you can flee at a moment's notice. You know, when that saber-toothed tiger attacks, you want to be awake. All really clever. Nowadays, you know, you want your digestive system to be working. You want your reproductive system to be working. There are all sorts of effects that it has that really aren't very helpful and are causing long-term health concerns. Now, some of the things that you may be familiar with in terms of triggering your stress response, you know, a normal modern day stressor, not a saber-toothed tiger, is a car careering towards you, a real life danger. An emotional event such as a fight with a loved one, a divorce, very stressful, or just a relationship ending. Financial worries, stressful. Moving house, stressful. Being a parent, really stressful. And these may even be some of the reasons that you are here today. But what you may not be aware of is that the food and drink you consume can also trigger this automatic nervous system response. Environmental toxins in the air, the water, the household and beauty products you use can also trigger your stress response. The bacteria living in your gut, when unbalanced, that's called dysbiosis, can trigger your stress response. So we are here talking about energy, don't get me wrong, but the reality is that what I'm going to be sharing with you are techniques to reduce your stress load so that you can spend less time in fight or flight and more time in rest and digest. And I think this is really important to understand, because if you don't understand what's going on in your body, how do you solve it? Okay. So an overactive stress response is very often the root cause of the exhaustion and the insomnia and the bloating and the anxiety and the stubborn weight with the women I work with. Okay. Everyone with me? Does everyone understand? Can I get a yes in the chat box if you get what I'm talking about? Okay, great, great, yes. Haley says yes. We've got Tina says yes. Jen says yes. Nancy, yes. Everyone's getting it. Good. Okay. So over the next 40 minutes or so, I am going to teach you how to ditch the exhaustion of an overactive stress response so that you can really feel the best you felt in years. Okay, we are going to talk about how to feed yourself well so you have a steady stream of energy through the day. Okay, we're not going to have that 3 p.m. crash or the constant picking all the way through the day. Okay, please type me in the comments if you think this bit is going to be really useful for you. I'd love to see, because everyone's here for a different reason, if this is going to be the bit that is really useful for you. Okay, we've got the me's rolling in. Yeah, okay, good. I'm also going to teach you how to slow right down. I am going to teach you how to support your nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system. So that's not the bit that's involved in fight or flight. It's the other part, the part that you want to spend more time in so you feel less anxious, less frantic, calmer, and just more present. Okay, so you feel like you have your shit together. You know the way many other people see you, or the way you think other people see you? Please type me in the comments, in the chat box, if you think this is going to be the bit that's the most helpful for you. I'd love to know, is this the bit that is really going to help you? Yeah, we've got the yeses coming in. Okay, I'm also going to teach you about the importance of setting boundaries and how to do that. Okay, we're going to talk about what self-care is and why it's different to pampering, so you can actually have time to focus on and prioritize yourself. So you can become fierce with protecting your time, because if you don't, who will be? Please type me in the comments if this is going to be the most useful bit for you. Yeah, we've got those me's. Right. I invite you to close your eyes for a minute, okay? I would like you to imagine how you would feel if you were able to wake up in the morning having had a restful night's sleep. You bounce out of your bed in the morning, jump in the shower, and you feel excited about the day ahead. You walk downstairs, you don't care that the kids have trashed the place in 10 minutes. How do they do that? You grab a coffee, which you savor and enjoy, and you spend 10, 15 minutes making your breakfast. This morning it's your favorite smoothie, and it's going to fill you up until lunchtime because you've chosen ingredients that will do that. There's no need for a quick trip to the snack cupboard at 11 o'clock like you used to do every day. On your way to the fridge, you see your meal plan and you remember that you need to get some soup out of the freezer for lunch. And what a relief. Dinner is already made because you did a double batch last night, which means you can fit your favorite Pilates class in once the kids are down. And you are really looking forward to it because it's been a busy week. You drop the kids at school, you enjoy that 20 minutes with them before the day begins because you have a busy day full of meetings. And when you get home, you don't grab another coffee, you take your jug of water up to the office. That's if you're still at home. You get through 2 of these in the day and you're going to be peeing a lot, but you welcome the breaks to get up from your desk. Mid-morning, you get up and you spend 10 minutes stretching so you're not sitting in the same spot all day. And when you get peckish, you grab an energy bar from the cupboard or some carrots and hummus that you've already prepped. When the day ends, you switch off your computer and you enjoy spending some time with your family. Pilates is glorious, dinner's quick with just a little tidying up, and you get to enjoy a relaxing bath or read of your book before bed. You are asleep in minutes, and when you wake up in the morning, you bounce out of bed for another great day. Now keep your eyes closed just for another minute, and I invite you to check in with your body to see how that made you feel. Happy? Excited? Angry? Love to hear in the chat box how that made you feel. Were there any sensations in your body? Was your heart beating faster or slower? What was your breath doing? Did you feel anything in the pit of your stomach? There's no right or wrong, but I want you to think about how that made you feel. Okay? We've got Amanda was relaxed, Jen, happy, relaxed, and motivated. Yeah, motivated. It's exciting to think that you could have that, right? Okay, if your eyes are open because you've been in the chat box, but if they're not, blink your eyes open. Chances are, if you're here, what I just was described is more or less, you know, obviously can't describe everyone, an ideal picture for you. But that right now, reality is looking a little bit different. Now, I'm not here to preach at all, but one of the things I know is that if you don't take control of your health and start to create some real change, you are going to continue to struggle. You are going to continue to feel impatient or grouchy with your husband, colleagues, friends, kids. Your life is going to pass you by instead of living in the here and now and actually enjoying it like you used to. You will continue to feel wired and switched on, and you will continue to feel exhausted and fed up and demotivated. But it is okay. That's why you're here. That's why we're all here. Because I'm going to share right now 3 of my best kept secrets, okay? The things that I see women, the mistakes that I see women make over and over again. The mistakes that I made when I was living on the edge of burnout, so you can stop making them. Now, I know you're here because you want to improve your health and you want to feel better, you want more energy. You don't want to be thinking about chocolate and biscuits all day or wishing you just had an IV drip of coffee attached to you, which probably means this isn't the first time you've tried to fix things on your own. Is that right? Which probably means at some point you have tried going on a diet to get healthier. That's what we do, right? To get your energy up, maybe lose a bit of weight. Could you type yes in the comments if you have tried this? Yes, I definitely have tried this. Well, the first mistake that I see women make when they're trying to get more energy is going on a diet. Now, why would that be a mistake? Well, there's 2 reasons. The first reason is that diets don't usually work. Well, okay, that's not the whole story. They usually work for a few weeks, but then you get to the weekend and you just want to let loose. Okay, you have a tough day and you just want to bury your face into a pile of donuts because you've basically been depriving yourself for the best part of a month and you want sugar, you want coffee, you want carbs. And when that said donut, or maybe it's carbonara, you know, pasta face burying happens, you beat yourself up for failing, for being useless and greedy, and you enter head first into a downward spiral of, well, I've cocked it up now, I may as well carry on. Okay? When you cut out or restrict large nutrient groups, it's not sustainable in real life. Does this feel familiar? Okay. The second reason that dieting is the worst thing you can do is that when you diet, you usually eat less, right? You stay away from carbs and fat. You go for big salads full of lots of lovely salady bits. The problem is, if you are operating from fight or flight more than you need to be, which from the polls, it sounds like that probably is likely, when you decide to eat less, your nervous system sees this as a sign that you are in fact in danger, that you're facing a potential famine, in fact, and that you do need more cortisol, which is the long-term stress hormone to survive. Cortisol is also very clever, and it's great at helping you store fat, so that in that famine, you have enough fat stores to survive. And in fact, that fat usually sits around your middle. Why does it sit around your middle? To protect your organs, your very important organs. So it literally is saving your life. Really useful thousands of years ago, not so useful when you've had a fight with your partner, or you are reading the news at 11 o'clock at night and it's stressing you out, or you know the workload is just overflowing. And this is why some women struggle to lose weight even when they're exercising like a crazy lady, because their stress response is playing on repeat. And I will add that if you are exercising when your stress response is overactive in a way that is HIIT classes, intensive, boot camps, running, you are also confirming to your nervous system that you are running, that you are in danger, that you should be operating from fight or flight. Okay? So what is the answer? Now, in the coaching work I do, and also in the detoxes, well, everything I do, I teach women how to eat more of the right foods. Now, I know for sure with myself that if I don't fill myself up with a certain balance of nutrients, I feel tired. I get grouchy, I graze. I go to the kitchen cupboards, I look for food, and it's not usually the healthy stuff. So what should be on your plate? The first thing is nourishing whole foods, okay? This is not foods that have been processed within an inch of their lives or have a really long list of ingredients lists, you know, many of which you may not recognize. I'm talking about real foods, fruit, vegetables, dairy, meat, nuts, seeds, pulses, and so on. Real food that looks like it did when it was picked from the ground or carved by a butcher, as close as possible. And to do that, you need to read ingredients lists, okay? You must read ingredients lists. Whole real foods don't have ingredients lists. Next, you want to focus on plenty of vegetables. In fact, you want to aim for half a plate. Now, I know that may feel like a lot, but please try it, and I promise you will feel better. Vegetables aren't only low in calories, but they are packed with important vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. They're a great source of fiber, which is important for cleaning out your digestive tract and for giving you a healthy gut, you know, not having that gut dysbiosis that I talked about earlier. And the more leafy green ones, the better. You also need a good amount of protein at every meal, around 25% of your plate. Now, most women I work with aren't getting enough protein in their diets. Protein is vital for every part of your body to work well. Did you know that protein is responsible for making antibodies that fight infection? Pretty important with what we're all going through right now. Now, sadly, it's something that is easily forgotten, especially if you're on a diet. Now, like all foods, aim for variety, okay? And ideally get it from whole food sources. So rather than a supplement, unless you're an athlete, it's unlikely that you need a protein powder, but at the same time, do what works for you. And if that is a good way for you to get protein, that is also absolutely fine. Now, this is one that people get a lot of confusion about, whole grains. That's not wholemeal bread or pasta or even spelt bread. Whole grains are grains that have been through as little processing as possible from when they were picked from the field to make them edible, okay? Oats, brown rice, wild rice, spelt in its whole form, buckwheat, quinoa, okay? If you're not a fan, grains, some people struggle to digest all grains. You can opt for a carbohydrate-rich vegetable like a sweet potato, beetroot, parsnip, celeriac, carrots. You want to aim for around 15% of these on your plate, okay? And the final part is healthy fats. Now, many of us remember living through the 80s and 90s when low fat was best. And even though research no longer supports this, many people hold on to this really strong marketing message that was drummed into us. Fat is a vital part of a healthy, functioning body. And your body needs essential fats from food because it can't produce it itself. Omega-3 fatty acids in particular are linked to various health benefits, from proper brain function to reduced heart disease, improved ADHD in children, and relief from anxiety and depression. Now, most people are low in omega-3 fatty acids, okay, due to modern day diets, and it is so important to think about whether you are getting enough. Now, this is the actual, if you missed any of those numbers, this is the actual plate I use with all of my clients. And as a thank you for being here today, I'm going to send you a copy of this to print off, stick on your fridge. So I'll send that when you get the replay. This is actually a 2-page document. The second page is a list of all the different foods that fit into those categories. So you can really get some inspiration when you are putting your plates together. Now, working with this as a goal, you are going to find yourself fuller for longer so that you get the energy boost, so you get the energy you need, and you're not going to get the crash that processed foods give you. And they don't need to be really processed. They could be a little bit processed to give you that crash and to affect your stress response, okay? You may find when you start to eat more of a balanced plate of food that you don't rely on caffeine and sugar so much. Now, that's not to say you won't have them, because this is all about not giving them up, right? But the reliance on needing them for energy may not be there anymore, and that is what we're looking for. So grab your pen and paper, or just type straight into the chat. I want to know what the biggest difference is between this balanced plate and what you are currently eating. So what is the biggest difference? Is it the veggies? Okay. Is it the protein? Is it the whole grains or the fats? So we've got Sophie says the lack of white rice. Do you eat other types of rice, Sophie? Other grains? Protein, Alex says protein. Amanda, not enough whole grains. That's really common. The veggies, yeah. So, you know, think about that one thing, and maybe that is your one thing that you change, okay? Now, Anna is a client of mine who didn't eat enough of the right foods when we met. Her meals were small because she wanted to lose weight. She rarely ate breakfast because she wasn't really hungry, but then she found herself hiding in the snack cupboard with several bars of chocolate at night. She was also exhausted. She had a full-time job in financial planning. She had a young child. She felt anxious a lot of the time, and she needed to lose weight. When we started to work together, we created a meal plan that involved breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That was a lot more food than she was used to eating. My diet has been completely overhauled in a way that hasn't felt hard, with an understanding of why and how, and that's how I know it will stick. My sleep, energy, and mood is 100% better. I no longer comfort eat, and I've lost 12 pounds. Wow. This was from eating more food, okay? So do you get what I mean now about dieting often doesn't work, okay? Now, the second mistake I see women make when they are beyond exhausted is to take the wrong kind of downtime. They ask their husbands to take the kids for a few hours so they can have a break. You know, they just need to switch off and they'll feel re-energized. You know the feeling? But how many of you get some time to yourself and decide to clean the kitchen? Batch cook so you can get ahead for the week? Fold the 10 bags of laundry that have been sitting there for days? Or finish that proposal you wanted to get out for work? Or any other job that you think is going to make you feel better so that you can get a load off your to-do list. Now, let me ask you a question. If your best friend came to you and said she was exhausted and she just needed a break from it all, would you recommend that she catch up on her chores or do some work if she had a precious 2 hours to herself? No. So I am going to be your best friend and tell you that if you need some downtime, make sure it's downtime. But what does that mean? Now, one of the challenges I have faced over the years is knowing what to do with myself if I'm not working or cooking or cleaning or tidying or even exercising. Exercise can be a great way to switch off. But as I said before, it can also be a way of triggering your stress response. And it can also be seen as a sort of, well, I better do some exercise so I can look better, so I can be better, so I can be fitter. You know, it can be a type of chore, which isn't the kind of downtime I'm talking about either. So grab your pen and paper, and I want you to write down one thing that you would love to do to really switch off. Is it go for a walk? Do you not get out enough? You know, we are not moving enough since COVID. Take a bath. Phone a friend and talk about old memories. Indulge in your favorite trashy TV program. Dance, sing. You know, what is it that is going to be switching off, like a real downtime for you? Because whatever that is, it will help you get out of fight or flight mode and into rest and repair mode. And when you're operating from the parasympathetic nervous system more often than you are from fight or flight, your sleep improves. In fact, this is when your parasympathetic nervous system really comes into its own. Your body is able to rest and repair. It's able to digest all of those good nutrients that you've been feeding it from your balanced plate, and that exhaustion is going to start to lift. Now, I want you to write down the one thing that you need to do to make sure this actually happens. Do you need to schedule it? Do you need to ask your mum or a friend for some childcare? Do you need to ask your mates for book recommendations because you don't have anything to read at the moment? What do you need to do to make this the easy option? So you take action. And I also want you to write down, when are you going to do it? Okay. Now, Jo was someone whose downtime really wasn't downtime. Okay. When I met her, she had a 3-year-old and a 10-month-old. So not surprising she was tired, but Jo wasn't just tired, she was exhausted. She would yawn from the start of our sessions until the end every week. She would drag herself out of bed in the morning and fall asleep on the sofa every single night. She couldn't sit still during the day. A job always needed doing in her head. So even if she was sitting and playing with the kids or trying to relax, she felt agitated and on edge all the time. Jo's main meals were actually pretty good, and they were all homemade, lots of variety, plenty of veg, but she was also a sugar and caffeine addict. She needed them to get through the day. But she'd also never really had any downtime. So we started to work on how to prioritize herself. We started with the food. I usually always start with the food because it's a really quick and easy way for people to see results immediately. Bear that in mind. Because as I said, certain foods can trigger your stress response. So tweaking your diet is always a really good place to start. And we put a plan together for getting some downtime, okay? That wasn't washing or cleaning or playing with the baby. And after working together for just 10 weeks, Jo was a different woman. Abby, you have transformed my life. I am less stressed and I'm so patient with the kids. I'm eating healthier. I'm choosing to go to bed at a normal time instead of falling asleep on the sofa at 8:30. And as a result, I'm spending more time with my husband. He's even enjoying new foods, which I never thought would happen. She never thought that would happen. And amazingly, I'm not bloated anymore. She lived in a constant state of being bloated that until she wasn't, she didn't even realize she had been. She thought it was normal. And above all, I am just so aware of what I choose to put into my body and how it's affecting me. What I was most excited about for Jo is that she now feels fulfilled and she's happy to sit and play and switch off and enjoy her downtime without her mind being on overdrive. Because this is something I really used to struggle with. It's something that I can often fall into now, but now I have the tools to come out of it. And it is wonderful seeing other women create these transformations, but in a much shorter time frame than it took me. And she no longer feels addicted to that coffee, or sugar. She has coffee and sweet treats for sure, but it's done in a really considered way that doesn't affect her energy levels or her health. Now, the third mistake I see women make over and over again is saying yes to everyone and everything that needs doing because they love helping. They're people pleasers, okay? They're usually highly capable women who have spent their lives achieving things and are generally women who love to do. They get their shit done, yeah? I mentioned that before. But over time, that desire to want to help and to want to achieve can turn into resentment because when their friends, families, and colleagues' needs come first time and time and time again, their own are left to sink to the bottom of the pile. Okay? Does this feel familiar to you? Type a yes in the chat box if this is resonating with you. Now, these women also often feel victimized, maybe internally, maybe not externally. But I want to tell you that the only person responsible for your behavior is you. Now, I am definitely someone who says yes too much, and I can often be the victim of my own overscheduled life. So if this is you, I want you to know that you're not alone. This is very common in women and especially in mothers. But you need to learn this one thing and it will literally change your life. Okay? Now repeat after me. I know I can't hear you, but I want you to say this out loud in 1, 2, 3, no. Okay, I hope you said it. There are some gentler ways of saying no. All right, okay, so I'm honoured, but I can't. I'm sorry, thank you so much for asking, but I'm sorry, I can't. Or, oh, I'm booked in for something else that day, but thank you so much. Next time, definitely. But the concept is the same, okay? These are all ways for you to protect your time so you can focus on you. They are boundaries. If you don't create boundaries with your time and other parts of your life and hold them in place for others to respect, nobody else will. Now grab your pen and paper and I want you to write down a boundary that you need to put in place so that you can create more time and space for you. So that you can say no in your own way, so that you become the top priority. Now, if you feel stuck, think of a behaviour or of yourself or someone in your life that makes you feel uncomfortable, annoyed, or stressed. It could be something like asking your husband to do half the laundry because it's his and you have a full-time job too. Maybe it's no longer being the only person to hold that early Wednesday morning meeting because it clashes with your favorite yoga class and there's plenty of other people who could do it. Or maybe it's letting your brother know that it's not okay to drop in on you at a moment's notice and expect to be fed. You have enough people to cook for. Now, I know this may not come naturally for all of you, and the thought of putting boundaries in place can be scary. So if this makes you feel anxious, that defeats the purpose. Just start with something small. You don't need to go head to head with your boss just yet. But stepping into your power and becoming that confident, strong woman that I know you have the capability to be will see your health and happiness get pushed right up to the top of your list, where it should be. If anyone is feeling brave enough, I would love to hear in the chat box what your boundary is going to be. And ladies, these boundaries need to be a non-negotiable part of your self-care. Yes, setting boundaries is part of self-care. Self-care is not painting your nails or getting a massage. They're lovely and they're important, but they're pampering. Self-care is the practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness, in particular during periods of stress. Self-care is recognizing the importance of your feelings and honoring them. Putting yourself first is going to give you the energy to be more present with others. When you are in a better place because you're looking after yourself, you can be a better wife, mother, co-worker, friend, whatever. Okay? Now, as I said, this is something I have always struggled with. I'm a people pleaser. It's in my DNA to want to make other people happy. And I have to work really hard at it. I had to work really hard in my corporate job and in my personal life, and in particular when I became a mum, to put myself first. I really, really struggled with this. And actually about 3 years ago, when I was still working part-time in my old company and doing this part-time, I was run ragged. I was trying to do 2 different jobs, keep the house in order, cook everything from scratch. I was exhausted. And one of my boundaries was actually about finding time to get back to yoga, because I knew that that would nourish me on multiple levels. And I knew it would help support my nervous system. Now, I was actually working with a coach at the time who helped me become more aware of my decisions, my behaviors, and my boundaries and how they were affecting me. And it was actually that work, that boundary work, that led me to quitting my job and pursuing nutrition full time. And it was the best thing I've ever done for myself and for my family. Okay? So bear that in mind. Now let's recap. Eating less doesn't work for the long term, okay? You need to eat more of the right foods to give you a steady stream of energy through the day. It's going to reduce your overall stress load, which means less time operating from fight or flight, okay? It's going to help boost those energy levels. Clearing things off your to-do list isn't downtime. Taking the right kind of downtime is so important. Spend some time thinking about what that looks like for you. Schedule it, plan it, and enjoy it, okay? No guilt needed. This is going to support your nervous system. It's going to slow you down so you feel less overwhelmed, less anxious. And no need to meditate 5 times a day. And finally, putting boundaries in place that give you the time and space to prioritize you is going to help. Because if you don't, no one else will. And after all of this, you can still enjoy a cup of coffee and a piece of cake. You might find that you don't want as much, or you won't be relying on it because you're going to feel more balanced. And isn't balance what we are all after, isn't it? You know, that elusive balance that people talk about, but you have no idea what it is. Okay, we're going to have a little break. I've been talking a lot. I'm going to have some of my tea. Are there any questions? And it's absolutely fine if there aren't. We can also wait until the end. Let's just give people some time to... Cool, so there's no pressing questions right now. Right. If they come in, sometimes there's a bit of a delay. If they come in, then I will answer them. Now, you have heard about some of the clients that I have worked with today and how they've taken control of their health. Oh, Amanda's just said, yeah, don't worry if you have to pop off. I know it's lunchtime, okay, so I get it. And there's going to be a lot of people who watch this on replay. So if you have questions at this point on replay, you can just come back to me. That's absolutely fine. Would you like to hear about how we could work together to do the same? Okay. We've got a few. Okay, there's a few yeses coming in. Great. Now, I currently have 5 spaces available. I've managed to move some things around in my calendar for my coaching program at the moment, okay? And for anybody who is here today, if what I've shared has resonated with you, it's likely that this could be a really good fit. But let me tell you more and you decide for yourself, okay? Because I do only have 5 spots. Now, my program is called Burnout to Balance, and it's a 10-week coaching program. It's going to help you reset your relationship with food and create healthy habits that stick. And also create that balance, hence the name, that people talk about, and I know that you crave, okay? It is a one-to-one program. So we will work together directly for 10 weeks so that I can really understand how your life is set up, where you struggle, so I can provide you with the support, the education and accountability where you really need it the most. Now, I work with people in a small steps approach, so it literally can fit into the busiest of schedules. You should see some of the schedules of my clients. It's pretty crazy. So if you're looking for a huge transformation in a quick fix format, 14 days, 21 days, this isn't for you. As I said, small steps done consistently over time really lead to big transformations that actually stick. And actually, that approach is how you really learn for yourself what works and what doesn't. That's how you learn, by doing. And that is actually what coaching is all about. We talk about what's going on for you each week. So if you're having friends to stay, or I don't know, a big work event, maybe it's date night, whatever it is, we talk about how you're going to approach that, the potential challenges, what they may be, and we agree some actions. You decide whether we focus on your exercise, maybe your sleep routine, your cravings, because it really depends on what is going on for you that particular day. So this program isn't cookie cutter. When you sign up to those programs, there's a lot of really good ones out there, but Noom, Joe Wicks, Weight Watchers, whatever it is, they are a standard program. This is all about you, okay? It is self-care on turbo. And I promise you that this program will transform your life, just like it did for Anna, just like it did for Joe, okay? Just like it did, I've got a few more examples for you. Just like it did for Anne. I no longer have stomach pains, for which I'd seen every doctor under the sun about and was given no answers. my hip doesn't ache, I'm walking faster, and people tell me I look great. Anne is 77, okay? I can't believe how much better I feel. I'd hoped changing my diet would help, but I didn't really know what to expect. I no longer have stomach aches or discomfort. I feel less tired, healthier, and most importantly, I'm well again. I couldn't be happier with the outcome. Now, I created this program because it took me years to learn everything I know now. And because I don't believe that the culture we live in, the culture that says it's okay, perhaps even normal, to feel overwhelmed and exhausted all the time is okay. I don't think that's okay, especially when there are some really simple steps that you could take to reduce your stress load and really enjoy life. Because when I learned everything I teach in my coaching program, I did it through trial and error. It took me a long time and a lot of tears and a lot of exhaustion. And I wish there had been a program like this 10 years ago when I really needed it. Now, if you would like to know more about it and whether it could be a right fit for you, a good fit for you, just book a call through abbymanders.com/call. And we will talk about whether burnout to balance is what you need. It may not be, and that's absolutely fine, okay? There's no obligation at all, but if what you've heard today resonates and you think it could be helpful, then you can book a call here. Now, as I said, there is a slight catch. I do only have 5 places available. I run lots of corporate workshops. I of course, have a family. There's only one of me. I've learnt my lesson about burning out, and I am currently only taking on 5 new clients. Now, nearly 100 of you signed up today, so that does mean that those spaces will go quickly. So if you think you need some more support, book the call. I've freed up as much spare time as I can over the next week, because the doors to this program will be closing next Thursday, the 17th of June. Okay. Anyone who books before this date will be receiving some special bonuses that I am really excited to be offering out to you guys. So if you book your call before the 17th of June and you are one of the lucky 5, you will also receive free access to my summer detox. Okay. Reset, that's its name, is a 5-day whole food detox. Some of the people here live, and I know some of the people who have signed up have done this. It really brings all of the principles together that I teach through my coaching in a really practical way. And it's a great way to cement what you're learning in a group of awesome, like-minded women. So that 5 days is a group program. I'm also offering 24/7 tech support from the start to the finish of those 10 weeks. Now, this is something I used to offer all of my clients, but you can imagine it got pretty crazy at points. So this isn't something I offer as standard anymore. And I actually now charge $199 for it as an add-on. But for anyone who does book before the 17th, I will be gifting this to you, okay? So when you're in the supermarket and you don't know which of those plant-based milks to buy because the ingredients look a bit weird or whatever it is, you can text me. When you're heading to your mother-in-law's house and you know she always serves pasta with a side of bread and buckets of wine to wash it down, you can text me. When you've been staring at the treat drawer for 10 minutes because those mini eggs are calling your name, you can text me. This is something my clients have loved in the past, and I have some clients text me photos of every meal they eat because they find it so useful knowing that someone is always there when you need them. Now, these bonuses are worth £286 alone, but they will only be available until June the 17th. Okay, after that, you can absolutely inquire about working with me, that's fine, but the bonuses won't be there. I can't keep them there forever, I'm afraid, and it will depend on availability. Okay, so if you do want to explore it, if you want to feel like Anna did and Jo and Purdy and all these other women, let's jump on a call. Okay. Now, I did say that there were some bonuses for you guys as well, because I don't want to leave you out. So one of those is going to be the balanced plate that I mentioned, and I'm going to be sending this to you along with a recording. So everybody who signs up gets a copy of that document. I'm also going to send you my favorite energy balls. Okay, my favorite energy balls recipe book, not the actual energy balls in the post. Wouldn't that be great? You may also know these as protein balls, but they are basically delicious balls of nutritious energy, hence the name. And whenever I offer these in my detox, they are the recipes that everybody loves the most. When I share them with clients, they are the ones that people love the most. So I've collected my favorite recipes and I'm going to be sharing those with you just as a thank you for signing up today. Okay. Now, I haven't forgotten. What is the one thing that you are going to do differently tomorrow? What is the one thing that you have learned today that you are going to start doing differently tomorrow to feel more energized? You know, that was my goal for today. So if I've achieved that and you've got one thing, I'm a happy woman. Okay, tell me in the chat box, what is that one thing? Okay, so Jen says yoga is the thing that is good for her. I'm so glad. Alex says taking the right kind of downtime and a jug of water in the fridge. Yeah. I don't know what your name is, sorry, because it's come up as West Lacken. Maybe that's your name, sorry. I'm going to pay much more attention to what my plate consists of. These are all really, really good things, you know. Take one thing, do it consistently. Don't try and do it all. Please do not try and do it all because it doesn't work. It might work for a little bit, but then things fall by the wayside. Okay. So I do have I don't really have time for questions because I've been talking for too long. But if you have any questions, type them in the chat. If you're watching the replay and you have questions, lots and lots and lots of people are watching this on the replay. You can hit reply to my email and you can ask away. That's absolutely fine. And I just want to say thank you for being here today and thank you for signing up. And I really, really hope that you will take some of this information and implement it, because remember, unless you take action, nothing's going to change. Okay, thank you so much for your time, and please shout if you have any questions. Take care.